Shannon. Now this is podcasting.
Hello, everyone. Glad that you're here. With me is my co-host, Jason.
Hello, everyone. I'm back as well.
Welcome to Work Hard.
Ethan dragged me back for another one.
That is...
or I dragged him out for this one.
I don't know. I think we're dragging each other at this point. I think we're both so invested in this, we're dragging each other. I'm the one that's needing to be dragged today. I'll be honest. I'm lagging.
That's why partnerships are important.
That's true. It is. It is.
You go it solo, and one day you wake up and you want to sleep in, and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, dude.
And
it's
next
tough.
week, it's hard to get back on the horse.
But if you got one of your boys with you, different story altogether, dude.
Who rolls up playing loud music at your house and it's like, it's time to record.
Let's go. I've been on the road for 10 days. 10 straight days. This is not technically true, but it's effectively true. The first time I slept in my own bed in 10 days was Thursday night, which is a night ago, 2 nights ago. What's today? Saturday? So yeah. So I am exhausted, dude. Exhausted.
He's not quite sure what day it is.
Yeah, I really don't know anymore. It's all starting to blur together. But I spent most of that time, I guess not most of that time, I was with my family for part of it.
Yeah, a lot of it was vacation. It wasn't all work stuff, right?
Well, I mean, it kind of, it was camping, in-laws. There was very little reprieve. But...
not conventional work. You weren't making money.
Yeah, I wasn't making money. Our last day, though, we did extend the stay by a day, which is, I was going to be able to sleep in my own bed this week at least once, but we extended the stay by a day. So we went to the Rebel Stakes, which is like one of the bigger horse races of the year.
Yeah.
And that was really, really cool. That was sick. Me, Emily, and my wife, and Abigail was like, anytime the horses would come by, she would freak out, clapping, go horsies, go horsies, go, pointing at them like, it was great. I got a couple videos of it. And the track itself was beautiful, but the structure around it looked like crap, which was annoying. But it was cool. It was cool. But I was around Normies the rest of the time, and my coworkers, and that was, dude. We had shouts out to my coworker. There's very low percentage chance they'll ever hear this, but I don't want them to feel like I don't like them. I had a good time with him. He's a good guy, but like our first night, there was no just based off his personality and my personality, there's no reason why we shouldn't be like clicking very quickly. And we were at the bar night one, and it just was like we just couldn't.
No conversation would flow.
Yeah, just like I would ask him something, he'd give me an answer, and then like there'd be no like reciprocation, and so just like it was just like weird, and there was just we couldn't lock into like a good rhythm, and then he started talking about how he smokes weed.
Okay. And
I realized it was like talking to my little brother who smokes weed all the time. And I was like, oh, you're stoned. That's why this conversation's going strangely. Because you're high. So that was kind of
That'll
annoying.
do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. That was kind of annoying. And then like the whole time he was like probing me basically to see... Again, I'm like, I shouldn't be worried about this because it's going to like ruin the comedic value of this. But he's like basically like probing me to see if I'm like down to cheat on my wife.
Oh,
it's like kind of what it was. Like he was like, he like hit me with like little, like real little stuff. Like, oh, this girl's super hot. Oh, that girl's like, look at like this girl's smoke. And it was like showing me like, group chat conversations that this like one girl that we work with, who I don't work with her, she's in our company, but she's not like I'll never meet her. She's over on this other thing.
Right.
But they're all in a group chat together, and she was like, I'm going to show up to this customer call. Yeah. This customer meeting in the nude.
What?
Yeah. And he was talking to me about how his boy was like dating this girl at one point. And I was like, oh, they broke up because she talks like this, right? And he was like, what? Like, just didn't even like register that was an issue.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, dude, I would never date a girl. I mean, there was a time in my life where I would have been like, yeah, that's kind of hot. And like, but I wouldn't have like loved her. Like I would have known.
Right. It was just someone hot that you were.
Yeah.
With.
Fornicating with. Yes. Like sinning with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I wouldn't, that's like a whole another removed.
Just a couple of hedonists hanging out.
Yeah.
Until you get pissed at each other.
Just destroying each other's lives until you're so fractured.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good
it
times.
explodes. Yeah. Just waste 2 years of your life with some sloot. So that was like that. And then like, he told me this story. We went to a Rockets game, that was sick. I'd never been to an NBA game before. And we got like sick, like special seats. We got them on accident.
Oh, wow.
They were like cool. Mad cheap. So we were like, oh, these must be like nosebleeds or whatever.
Yeah.
And we got them and they were like the best seats with like a special like bar and stuff behind us. Yeah. It was strange. They're like $40. And it was like, it was like a step down from box seats.
Okay.
So they were like mad nice. So that was sick. That was actually really sick. But we were like walking back from the game and he was like telling me about how he went out with this other sales guy from another company at one point at like one of these events or something. And they went to this bar and he was like sandbagging the story. So he's like telling it to me in a way that made it more palatable to me.
Okay.
But he was doing it to kind of see how I reacted.
Testing the waters.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, we were hanging out and he's married. And so he's like, we were hanging out, smooching these girls, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I just didn't really give him
nothing.
I was just like, oh, nice. Sick. And so it's just like that all the time with normies. They're just like, it's so hard. I was sitting I was at another bar with a guy who's like a pretty senior dude at our company. He's older, he's like my dad's age. And he's one of my dad's best friends. And again, another guy I really like.
Yeah.
Like don't have any issue with him personally. But he was talking to me about Trump.
Yeah.
And he knew that I was like very conservative. Like I told him, like he and my dad apparently had these like long, like philosophical debates because they're, so different in belief. And so I told him before we started, I was like, listen, we're drinking, like there's a pretty high percentage chance I'm going to say something crazy here.
Yeah.
So I just need you to know going into this that I make my dad look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like I make my dad look like a liberal. And he was like, what? It's like, how, like he was like, how is that even like, what could you believe?
I've only read about you people.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't think women should be allowed to vote. Yeah. Start there. I think we should hang murderers in public.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit. He's like, maybe we shouldn't talk about this. Not really. No, I didn't say any of that to him. I didn't play my hand, but he was like, his whole thing was like, how do Trump supporters get where they are? It's got to be ignorance. There's no way that there's thought into this. And so it's just like you just get hammered with that kind of stuff. And that was last week.
I mean, that's from knowing only the fanatics from the news.
Yeah.
That's conservatives saying that, how do liberals get to this
Joe
point?
Biden or whatever.
Because they only see the absolute craziest AOC kind of stuff on the far left, and assume that they're all that nuts.
Right. Yeah, I think that's it.
When in reality, like a lot of coworkers that I used to have that were liberal definitely are capable of having a more reasonable conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things I think that's is that it is like that position though is a very like normal person position to be like, I'm married, but I made out with this girl at the bar, and that's fine. We didn't have sex. Like,
their line for what's appropriate or not appropriate.
Yeah, and it just like their standards are strange, and like.
Well, also, a lot of open marriage kind of stuff.
Yeah, lots of that. I mean, lots of that in my career. Lots of that, dude. Yeah. Lots of like, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's like. It doesn't seem like it's like a like straight up explicit open marriage, but it is very like like a don't ask, don't tell policy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where it's just like
their wives don't ask. And
I'm a traveling sales guy. Like you know what's good. I make lots of money.
You know what's
I'm like
happen.
35. I'm handsome. I make a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's up. Like just don't. Like I'll tell you like some fun things that happen on the trip, but just don't press me if like things don't add up or like, I don't text you back till the morning or something like that. Like
wow, that's sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and it's just like standard. It's like standard operating procedure.
Yeah,
like it's not. I'm not saying that every guy I meet is like, yeah, I'm straight up cheating on my wife whenever I want, but it is like
it's prevalent.
It's prevalent. It's definitely prevalent, and you get that like that. My dad tells a story about how it's recent. It is recent that going to the titty bar is like not a thing that happens on like sales trips, like taking customers to the strip club. Right. Like that's like a new thing. Thank goodness that that's not like kind of expected.
Right. That's what you are expected to do.
Yeah. But my dad tells a story about how he, he shut that down a lot in his career.
Right. We're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, he just said, you guys can go. I'm not going. And one time they were like, dude,
it's not going to be on my company's credit card.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he just sent his engine, like he just sent somebody else from the company with him that wanted to go.
Yeah.
And
I'll be at home.
Yeah. I'll be at the hotel. Yeah. And so he tells a story about how they were like, really like, oh no, come on, you got to go. You got to go. And he was like, this is not happening, guys. I'm not going. And they were like, all right, fine, we'll do this. And so they came up with this like scheme. Mm-hmm. And the idea was that they got a room in the strip club. They got like a private room.
Right.
And then and they told the staff, like, don't come in there. Send like male bartenders in to get drinks and stuff like that. Don't send don't
send the dancers or whatever.
Don't send anybody in there. And then the customers and like the other guys that my dad were with from his company stood like from the door to the room to like make like a wall. And my dad just like walked in and just like put his head down and just like walked through the strip club proper into this room and just like sat down and was
cloistered there.
Yeah. And they just like stayed in there the whole time. And he was like, dude, I had to piss so bad. And then they would just like leave. Like the guys would go out.
Yeah. And come back in.
And then come back in or whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude. So normies, bro. And this, I saw a Instagram reel recently that was, dude, normies they get roundhoused in the brain by public school, dude. It's crazy. By modernity in general. So it was a video of this guy and his girlfriend sitting down. I don't know where they're like laying in bed or something. And the guy calls his girlfriend's brother, who's younger. He's like he's like freshman in college, something like that. And they're like young professionals. And, so he calls his like future brother-in-law and is like, yo, Tom, what's good? Hey man, listen, I want to get your feedback on something. I'm thinking about asking your sister to marry me. What do you think about that? And he goes, man, and his sister's sitting there. Like the girlfriend's sitting there.
Oh, okay.
So he's on speakerphone. She can hear it.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, man, I mean, listen, you're great. Everybody loves you. I think that that's definitely in the future. Like, I think you guys should get married. Mm-hmm. But, she was talking to my parents about this and like they're having this exact conversation a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's stance is that she needs to focus on dental school right now because that's like her career. That's what's in front of her for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And so she needs to get that done. And then you guys I think that's probably when it's a good time to do it. And the comments were all like, oh, shout out, little bro's like the best. Oh, he's so supportive, whatever. He's so good for her. Give him an award. Like he knows, he gets it, which is, if anybody listening to this doesn't understand Jason and I's stance on this issue yet, first of all, she shouldn't be in dental school.
How old was she?
They had to be like mid-20s, if not late 20s. And
already reaching end of prime childbearing years.
Right, already reaching end of prime childbearing years. And she's it's such a preview into the mind of normies because what is it that he's saying is in front of her for the rest of her life? Her career.
Yeah.
That's what's in front of her for the rest of her life. Not her family.
Because dental school is going to hold her hand in the nursing home when she's dying.
Right, exactly. Her dental career.
It will be there for her.
Right. Her dental career is going to...
She will love watching the dental office dance around in the garden when she's, middle-aged.
Learning how to speak.
And the children of the dental school, the little dental schools, the great grandkid dental schools.
Yeah.
Oh, the joy of hearing the patter of little dental schools running down the hall.
Little dental feet running down the hall.
Little dental feet.
Yeah, and knowing that when you pass, your legacy and memory will live on through them. Mm-hmm. They'll have the dental school will have a painting of you in its house.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The dental school cares about you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, deeply. In a generational way, the dental school cares about you.
Roots.
To the roots of the dental school, it cares about you all the way down. Yeah, and so this girl is that, and it's so absurd because that is what marriage and family is to these people. Marriage and family is this thing that you do to not feel alone. It's about you first of all, but it's also there's this it's secondary. It comes second to your career.
Yeah.
You're this little cog in this little machine. And my boss shouts out, love the guy. Okay. Great guy. He's 35, 38. Maybe he might be on the other side of 35, but I think he's pretty young. So I don't think he is, but, no, he just has a girlfriend he kind of lives with.
Yeah. No child prospects or marriage.
Nope. He's just on the road all the time, constantly, and talks to me about how much he loves work, and he works on the weekends, all the time, everywhere, all the time. And they're all just like that.
Yeah.
They're just total,
That's the culture.
Yeah. Careerist, kids come second. All of them. And this was so nuts. So in Dallas last week, there was a lot of bad weather. And so we were all there at dinner, customers, coworkers, everybody's there, 40 people.
Yeah.
To a man, they were all like, yeah, my stupid kid's going to be out of school for the next 2 days. That's what they were.
That's what they were complaining about.
Yeah, that the schools were going to be closed and that their kid was going to be there interfering with their work.
Horrifying.
Can you imagine the pain of having to be with your child? These poor modern individuals.
Yeah.
Dude, just
what
totally,
a drag.
Yeah. And then
it's a real pain in the ass when the next generation gets in the way of you making money.
Right. Isn't it so sour? So sour when your children want your attention while you're on a Zoom call. Who cares, bro? Hang up. It doesn't matter. Tell Toyota to kick rocks. Who gives a shit, bro? Who cares about your stupid job? And whatever. I go on and on about this, but
let's move on to couch cushions because this plays into our main topic.
Yeah.
So the segment known far and wide as Between the Couch Cushions. If you haven't heard it before, this is the segment of the show where we dig into the couch cushions to see what kind of movies, video games, books, music that got lost down there. Something from a bygone era that is valuable and is of good quality, is edifying, or is clean entertainment. Something you may have missed. Anyway, what is your recommendation for this week, Ethan?
Mine is Little Bear, which is actually, I watched this a lot when I was a kid, but I totally forgot about it. Chase is watching, or they're letting their boys watch some of it.
Okay.
And that just got through the grapevine to my wife, and she was like, "Oh, they're Chase and his wife are, they're watching Little Bear," and I was like, "Oh, okay, go, so we can try it." And so we watched it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome. This is great." The dad is Father Bear is.
Is this a show or movie?
So I think it was originally kids' books.
Okay.
And then they made it into a show.
Oh, Little Bear. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the books.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So it's Little Bear, but it's the show. My daughter watches it. I have a 60 hertz e-ink tablet, so it's not like a real LCD screen.
Gotcha.
So she can watch it for an extended period of time without it turning her into a normal person.
It's normie proofed.
Yeah, it's normie proofed, and so she watches. She's been watching Little Bear, and it's just really good because the mom is the mom, and she's like always baking cake and cookies and
Yeah.
like patting him on the head. And
There's a lot of apron wearing. I
yeah,
think.
a lot of
Or
apron
dresses
wearing.
Anyway.
Yep, a lot of dresses and apron wearing, and Father Bear is always like in a suit. Like they're like in the woods, and he's just wearing like a special suit for the woods, you know.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do, and but he's very gentle, you know. But like the personality, like it comes across as like I 100% could see Father Bear like killing someone. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, like he's very gentle, but extremely
gentle with his family.
Yeah.
But he's ready to be
yeah,
a bear.
Yeah, ready to be a bear. And there's like one of the episodes
He'll throw the top hat aside.
Yeah,
And tear a cougar limb from limb.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's an episode where he's like he's off on a fishing trip, and so their mother bear and little bear are at home alone.
Okay.
And and there's a storm, and so little bear's scared, and he's more scared because Father Bear isn't there. And so mother bear tells little bear a story about Father Bear, and it's just a story about how just sick he is. Like how good of a sailor he is, and how the wind is mad and can't do anything because he's such a good sailor. The wind can't even knock him off his boat.
I think I remember this one from the kids' books.
Yeah, and he's like, and in the story, he's like turning around, talking to the wind, like shaking his fist at him, like, "Ha ha ha! You're not gonna get me now, wind!" And it's just like, it's just very good. Like the Father Bear is just like extremely competent, like gentle, and it's good. It's really really good. So that's my rec, and I mean, the show. It had been out for a long time when I was little, when I was like 5.
Yeah.
So I think it's like pretty old.
It's an old one, huh?
Yeah, I think it's like from the 90s. But yeah, that's my rec, Little Bear. Good for the kids.
Very nice. Mine's not as kid-friendly, but it is also playing into our topic today. My recommendation is Brave New World.
Yeah.
By Aldous Huxley, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yep.
Brave New World is a futurist kind of dystopian society where social programming has just gone to an 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
And where human beings are all grown in petri dishes and test tubes, and they have there are different classes. There's like gammas and betas and alphas are like the most handsome, strong, intelligent ones, and their level of intelligence is dictated by like how much alcohol they drop in the dish or something. They purposely retard the growth of the gammas. So they are barely a human being. And they all are programmed to like certain colors and to hate other colors of different classes. And they think of themselves like the gammas are elevator operators.
Yeah.
They do very basic slave-like automaton sort of, and they're like kind of hunchbacked is my impression. They're just not attractive and they're stupid.
Yeah.
And like they like, the color black and whatnot. They're drear and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the alphas, they wear blue or whatever it is. But anyway, and they're constantly on like various kinds of, I can't remember the name of the drug, but basically they have it in like chewing gum and whatnot. So they're constantly chewing this chewing gum that's getting them in a euphoric state. They have, they just have the perfect hedonistic lifestyle. They are programmed to think of motherhood and fatherhood as abhorrent.
Yeah.
Like as abhorrent as you would view like not parenthood if you were from a very conservative background.
Yeah.
Of like, well, we just, sleep around all the time, and that's, that's how it is, and that's what it should be. It's a moral. It's immoral actually to be a parent.
Yeah.
That's
What's the
programming is?
There's like a saying, and it's like everybody is everyone's property or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, they will, if you're sleeping with the same person too many times in a row, like they'll get on you about it.
Yeah.
And other alphas will be like, hey, why haven't you tried so and so?
Right.
And whatnot. She's really attractive. Why don't you go with her? Because they still have their human tendency of being like, oh, I kind of like this person.
Yeah.
So there's a few characters who buck the trend a little bit and realize something's off. And basically, if a person in that society gets too far in that direction, they'll send them off to an island somewhere.
Yeah.
Basically to segregate them from the society. They won't kill them, I don't think, but they'll segregate them so they can't poison the rest of the society.
Right.
So it's the social engineering is just to a, like the Nazis could only dream of this society.
Yeah.
This is where Nazism would go had it been left unfettered and unchallenged, like they would have done this sort of thing, the scientific. Anyway, there's a reservation that a couple of the characters go visit. It turns out like one of the alphas got left there a long, long time ago and was adopted by like the tribes in America. So I'm not sure if it's like descendants of American Indians or descendants of like modern day Americans. Like there's some form of Christendom actually left there on the reservation. So Christendom is like viewed almost as like the like an animist. It's like a weird.
Yeah,
it's completely foreign. To their thinking, and they bring back one of the guys. Basically, they bring back. I think he's the son of the woman who got left there.
Okay.
So they bring him back and they bring her back, and he grew up in this. She's a mess because she came from this elitist society where everything was perfect and comfortable and lovely all the time, and she just pines away for that and hates being there. She's been there for like 20 years, raising this son terribly. She's a horrible mother, but also there's inklings of like she's trying to be a good mother in some ways, or had this conflict within herself, fighting her programming, but also just totally succumbing to her programming and the trauma that the society put on her. It's a fascinating book. But it just goes to show, it shows very vividly the actual misery that these people are in. And they are only overcoming that misery by constantly seeking pleasure.
Right.
And so it's very relatable to, I think, the constant seeking of pleasure in American society and in Western society the way it is now. What we were talking about in the intro about the normies, like open marriages, the infidelity, which is becoming normalized, drug use to numb the mind or dull the senses, just make you feel good all the time, the constant hedonistic lifestyle and what it does to you.
Yeah.
Great book, Brave New World, very sobering. Not meant for teenagers, but
no.
But you should read it as a mature adult and read it as a sobering warning and look around. I think it will change how you see just scrolling on Facebook or Instagram and looking at things that are beautiful or things that are entertaining and constantly being entertained and constantly going to the next thing to distract you from what is truly important in life.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is Between the Couch Cushions. Let's roll right into the main topic. So today we are talking about what do you do with children? How do you raise your children in a respectable light? Yeah.
I think the thing that that's like poignant here is specifically around school. So
correct.
On our was it the last episode?
Yeah, it was last episode where we touched on
college
and why you shouldn't send your kids off to college.
Yeah. So this is the thing we're talking about with normies, where it's just like they just get mind fried by public school, by college, and this is the listen. Here's my I'll get my old conspiratorial, like this was designed on purpose to do this by a group of people.
Public school was.
Yeah, public school absolutely was.
Pretty definitive. There is, and I can't remember
the
sources, but I have heard where that was the open and that was the written
explicit objective
of public schooling is to train children to be better for the state to control,
right.
More or less.
Yeah. They would describe it as proper modern citizens. But sure. They have that, they have all that like Brave New World, 1984 newspeak kind of way of saying things.
Yeah, what you have to understand and come to grips with, if this is a new concept for you, some of you will already be hand in hand with us on this and just be nodding your head the whole time and going, yeah.
Yeah.
And others of you may be completely blindsided by this. So to get the proper context, you have to understand that all governments want to control their citizenry, that positions of power will always try and seek greater positions of influence.
Yeah.
And one of, if not the best way to do that is to indoctrinate children because as they grow up, you have them in their most formidable years. And if you're able to form them from preschool all the way up through 18, they're now a more or less developed adult at that point, and into higher education, preferably. And you see the great push for university training. So you get 4 years when they're finding relationships and settling down, or choosing their life trajectory at that point. If you've got them for, if you've got control of them for 20, 22 years, I mean, that's awfully hard to undo that programming.
Very hard.
And so, yeah, if you don't understand that, like, let's just look at history, look at all the countries that have put public schooling into practice and how differently their citizenry is in 20 to 40 years, a few generations down the road. It is you can turn around a culture really relatively fast that way.
Yeah. And you can, so, I mean, it's just like, to make it practical, it's stuff like, getting the kids out of the home and, especially getting the young boys out of the home, and in these extremely feminine environments where they have to raise their hand to go to the bathroom. They're surrounded by women. The teachers are all women. They might be lucky enough to have like a male principal or something, but everybody's women. And the feminine desire.
If not, then the male teachers are also feminized.
Yeah, extremely feminized. They're crossing their legs, sitting there in slacks going, oh, yes. So it's like the thing is that it's like they were dinosaurs and they like evolved. And so you have these teachers who are extremely feminized. Everything is feminized. The disciplinary system is designed to incentivize feminine behavior. That's why girls succeed in school so much and boys don't.
And are more likely diagnosed with ADHD or
the boys are drugged
on medication to mellow them out.
Right, yeah, and it just destroys the conquering, adventuring spirit of boys. And
because the government doesn't really want independent thinking, conquering men growing up in its society, because you can't control that kind of citizenry.
Right, exactly. And then by my thing, what I think is that by the time you get to higher education, it flips. So you've got women in very male environments because they're not just away from their home for the day. They're living by themselves.
Yeah.
They're living on their own.
So they're not under the protection or guidance
of any man.
A strong male figure.
Right.
And by strong male figure, we're not talking, for anyone who listens to this and is from the other side of the aisle, and this is foreign, we're talking about a protective and good male influence, not the stereotypical wife-beating kind that feminism has painted all of patriarchy.
Invented.
Yeah. So obviously there are those men, but in a society,
small.
But in a patriarchal society, all the strong men, the good men, would be also fighting against those men.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But when there's only a few of those, when the society isn't patriarchal, then you have women on par with men, viewed in the same way. They are viewed with the same amount of power, but they don't have in reality that amount of power.
Right.
Just got in an argument on X the other week with feminists over this, and they're like, "Well, who would you be protecting us from if if men want to protect women?" So they don't get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's one thing that they hit. Like, if men weren't all bad, who would you need to protect us from? And then how about reality? Yeah. Okay. I've seen my wife try to navigate the entire world. It's not pretty. Like the other day I walked in and we had to go. I don't remember what was happening, but we were going to dinner with you guys.
Okay.
And Emily was asleep. Abigail was asleep. And I kept looking at my watch like, man, we got to leave in like a few minutes. Like and so I was just like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let this play out and see what happens. Emily wakes up. She's all stressed out. And she had like we were going to leave Abigail with my mom.
Yeah.
And and she'd been with my mom earlier that day. And Emily had. And so I was like, she got up and she was like really stressed out. She's like, what do we do? How are we going to get them over there? And I was, how are we going to get her over there? And I was like, you didn't think to talk to my mom, like make a plan? You didn't think to plan. And she was like, no. I said, yeah, okay. All right, there you go. There it is. Like that is, and so
which is fine.
Right. It is. Yeah, of course it's fine. Yes.
We're not beating on women.
Yeah, we're not beating. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me make that caveat. I'm not. There are things that women are amazing at.
Women and men are different.
Yeah, women and men are different, and they're good at different things.
And men are the decisive decision makers and planners.
Yeah, and planners, and they need and women.
And women are nurturing and caring.
Yeah, nurturing and caring, and women need like
in general. For anyone who's like, well, I know a woman who's certainly like,
yeah. Right. Goodness. In general, yeah, and also
I'm just hoping that somebody listening to this who disagrees with us has made it this far, and I don't want to lose him now.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I keep caveating.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
This is olive branching.
Which is good because I don't like doing that, so it's good that you're here doing it.
Yeah, well, I don't want it to be an echo chamber. Otherwise, it's just a whole bunch of people who agree with us nodding emphatically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tell them.
Yeah.
They're not listening anymore.
So, the thing I think I kind of want to tune in on here is the college thing for women specifically.
Okay.
Because that's the thing I've been thinking about a lot. I have a daughter. I'm having another daughter soon. And I think also like the bulk of our listeners are like in our world. And I think we do have a significant portion of them who may not realize how bad it is.
Right. They're 60% of the way there, maybe.
Yeah, so I want to tell you a couple horror stories from college.
All right.
Okay?
Go for it.
Now I'm not gonna get like graphic, but I'm going to tell you stories that are going to be uncouth. So just, this is not, turn it off if the kids are in the room. So this is what happens when your little baby girl goes to college, okay? She's 18. She goes to the dorms. She's good. She's strong. You've taught her well, okay? She's terrified. She doesn't know anyone. She's not a man. She's not worried about her own safety, whether she realizes it or not. She's worried about her own safety. She has no friends. Maybe she has a couple friends that went to school with her. Those friends are going to become liabilities. It's not good. She's very insecure and very vulnerable. Okay. That's day one. All right. You help her move in, whatever. You hug her, you leave her. Now think about that. You leave your daughter in another city, hours away. 100 years ago, I think you probably would be executed for doing something like that. Like that's straight up neglect. Like that's not good. You leave your daughter in a different city. You go home, you're crying, you're upset. You're crying, you're upset, not because you miss her, but because you've done something wrong. So you're upset. You go home. You've been told that this is what people do. This is normal, right? Normies. This is the normal thing to do. They have to go out, do a thing, whatever.
They have to go be an adult.
They have to go be an adult. Being an adult woman is very different from being an adult man. Okay, being an adult woman means staying at home, helping your mom cook and clean until you find a husband. That's what being an adult woman is. All right. So you go off to college. You drop her off there. Okay, that's day one. Day two. And this is really what happens. I'm not lying. Okay, this is not an exaggeration. Day two. A dozen literal truckfuls of 20 and 21 and 22-year-old frat guys go down. They drive down dorm row where all the dorms are in a truck, handing all the guys flyers for the fraternity and whistling and noting and clocking and choosing their prey of all the girls.
Yeah.
And talking to them and schmoozing them and making them feel comfortable and being funny and reassuring. And now I feel a little bit better. I know some of the guys here. I met a couple of the girls. Oh, they're going to, okay. That's day two.
Yeah. The predators come through.
Day three. All right. The fraternity parties start and the house parties start. And your daughter's sweet friend that she grew up with, who wasn't raised like your daughter was raised, who isn't quite as, maybe she slept with her boyfriend in high school and they just broke up. And so now she's completely emotionally destroyed, but being told that that's normal. So she can't like validate that in herself. So she's got cognitive dissonance on top of the total emotional destruction she's just experienced. Okay. That's your daughter's friend. All right. Now your daughter's friend has grown up listening to Dua Lipa and like watching Disney Channel. And so in her head, what she's been programmed to think is the way I make myself feel better, what I should do is go get another boyfriend, go find another sexual partner. That's the move here. So your daughter's friend comes to your daughter and goes, I'm going to a Sigma Chi party later tonight. We're going out to like a Sigma Chi party. It's going to be so much fun. You should come with us. Your daughter, scared, doesn't know what to do, thinks better of it, but doesn't want to be alone, doesn't want to be uncool.
Doesn't want to not support her friend who's in distress.
Right, doesn't want to not support her friend who's in distress.
Yeah, that's drag her down with her.
Yeah, girls have a hard time saying no to things. Now your daughter, all of a sudden, Thursday night, she's at a fraternity house. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, listen, I get conflicted. I gained a lot from being in my fraternity. I think there's a lot to gain there. I don't have any idea how you could go about being in a fraternity without being a total faggot loser that should be shot. But I don't know, I'm conflicted about this. I'm conflicted about frats. She's at a frat house.
There's a lot of potential good with the fraternity.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential good, but it's almost never executed correctly.
And a lot of abuse.
And so she's in, here's what I can say for sure. She's in a place she has no business being. She's in a field of tall grass. She's a little gazelle in a field of tall grass surrounded by lions. And the only thing any of the guys there are thinking are, how am I going to have sex with her? Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, here comes the horror stories. This is night 3 for me, okay? Fraternity life. I'm a rushie. I've got an invite to join this fraternity as a pledge. It's last night of rush. Big party. Big last party that we're going to throw before pledges in the morning. Oh my gosh, I'm sick to my stomach thinking about this. Wow, I actually don't know if I can tell this. This is crazy. That night, the amount, we're all drinking, everybody's drunk, right? We have this really big, huge social room upstairs, and then we have a big, like chapter room at the bottom, like a kitchen and stuff. I walked downstairs, and in like it's the front door, like it's the door you walk into from the street, huge open room, stairs everywhere. Like it's public. You might as well be in the park.
Yeah.
One of my freshman fraternity brothers and just some freshman girl he met are having sex in the benches of the chapter room. And like I walk down and see his butt. Like that's what I see. Mm-hmm. Now I'm so mind fried at this point because I'm from public school. Like I'm like,
right. You're indoctrinated.
I have, it registers to me that this is like degenerate beyond anything I've ever witnessed in person. But I'm not like as revolted by it as I should have been. And so I was just like, whoa, okay, whatever. And walked up. But I mean, it was like it was a joke. Everybody thought it was so funny. Like clapping, ha ha ha, whatever.
Yeah.
So funny. And later, like 45 minutes later, they're having sex in the bathroom.
Yeah.
They're having sex in the bathroom. I knew a girl who slept with one of my fraternity brothers during that summer. And I mean, I could tell these stories literally for the next hour. Like I have so many of them. a girl who slept with one of my fraternity brothers like that day. Like, we're all at the pool, whatever. They go have sex in the car, something like that, like at an apartment complex. Mm-hmm. Totally deranged. That night, we're back at the fraternity house having a party. She sleeps with another one of my fraternity brothers.
Yeah.
2 guys, 1 day. And that's nothing. That's nothing. There's a girl, I'm going to say her whole name. Shout out, sorry, I'm going to do it. She was so famous for being a reprehensible slut that she was in a rap song, a very popular rap song.
What?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not going to say her name. That would be bad. I think she's got a man now. But she was, and the song was Shout Out Dallas, Texas, and then said her name. And it was like,
wow.
She was, and there was like, there were so many videos that got circulated around the fraternity of her in all kinds of like stages of undress, stages of sexual activity, like brutal slut. And I mean, whatever. I don't know how genuine this is, whatever. But the last time I looked at her Instagram a few years ago, she'd like found the Lord and had a husband. So, anybody can come back from anything, and that's an amazing,
And that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario. But still, that girl's so damaged.
Oh my goodness.
And her husband definitely knows at least a couple of those stories, and so he's probably thrown up. He's gotten so upset about it. And it just, and I can tell you, I cannot emphasize how there was a girl who wanted to perform oral sex on somebody I knew. Didn't work out. I don't know why, but she left his room all in a huff, went downstairs, performed oral sex on a different one of my fraternity brothers. Okay. And this girl was probably
like a vindictive thing.
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
Don't know. This girl was probably 18, maybe 19, teenager.
Yeah.
And the guys she was interacting with were also teenagers. I don't want to make it sound like,
like they're 30 years old.
Yeah. Actually, there's no way. The story I just thought of, it's very funny, but there's no way I can tell it without being very graphic. So I'm just not going to tell that story. But, yeah, that's crazy. I'm like shaking talking about this right now. It's so bad. And so that is when you send your daughter to college, that is what and there's no alternative. There's no alternative.
Yeah. For those who would say that maybe Christian university is different, I remember Dordt University.
Yeah.
I remember hearing stories back when I was a teenager of a couple who had gone to Dordt. I think that's where they met. But there was I don't remember what they called it. It was like a naked run.
Yeah.
But the guys would run naked through the halls or something like on a particular night. And the reason they told the story is because they're like, oh, one dude ran straight into like a drinking fountain and like took it like off the wall, like broke this drinking fountain off the wall by running into it. And like, oh, wouldn't that have been so painful? It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. And those
your daughter's being exposed to stuff, even if she's not participating directly in it, there's this kind of wild behavior, even at a Christian college.
Yeah.
So don't be deceived that that's not what's going on to some degree somewhere on that campus.
One of the things that I'll say is that it's like, I think the feedback that I could imagine getting from some of our people, people that we know,
sure,
is that, well, I went to college and it wasn't like that for me.
Yeah.
And here I'll say two things. One, great.
Glad
awesome.
For you.
Why would you want to roll the dice with your kids? Secondly,
what is to be gained unless you have bought into the career first mentality?
Right.
Why are you risking that?
Yeah. What does your daughter need a degree for? What does she need a degree for? Unless you are like sincere and everybody, you've prayed about it and she's been prayerful about it and everybody's come to the point that she wants to be like a doctor and that she really wants that and that's her calling from the Lord, which, I'm dubious of that, but if that is the case, that's your life. I can't, whatever. Even if that's the case, like, other than that, what does she need a degree for? And even then, dude, move. If she needs to go to medical school somewhere, If she has to do it, it has to happen. Then go with her. She'll live with you and go to school and come home. And that's the second point I want to make, is that like, that is a radically different experience for a young woman than it is to be in a dorm life. Yeah.
Dorm life is where
because she can go to school and go home. There was a girl, and here's a good redeeming story. There was a young girl who I knew at college that was like that. She was local. Her parents lived in Denton, and so she lived with them. And she was very beautiful. She always had a cloud of young guys around her, but she had a curfew. Yeah. And I mean, she was like 20 years old and had a curfew.
Yeah. And how oppressive. How oppressive. Some might say.
Yeah. And she
how protective.
Right. And she honored the curfew and would always go home. And you know how many guys she had sex with?
I'm going to say 0.
0. She had sex with 0 guys.
Not that you couldn't find ways, obviously. Right. Some would be like, well, it's not going to really stop. A curfew's not going to stop. It's like, well, it would stop the most abhorrent behavior.
It gives a structure. It gives structure.
And it keeps them out of the house parties that would last way into the wee
until
hours.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
not the most dangerous. Yeah. Like, you can't. So it would be silly if we were on here saying, if you just follow all these rules and have structure, then your kid's going to end up perfectly well balanced, and they'll never find a way to view porn. They'll never find a way to have sex outside of marriage. It's like, of course they will. If they are determined to do that, there is really no stopping them.
Right.
They will find ways. But what you can do is set up a structure of protection so that they are not left vulnerable to those situations.
Yeah.
Like and
they don't feel...
Consider all teenagers and young people as being the equivalent of raging alcoholics. You keep them out of bars.
Yeah.
You keep them away from the bottle.
Right.
And they might find a way to get a bottle here or there, but they're not going to be around it every Friday and Saturday night.
Right. And you're also, for women, you're keeping them from feeling abandoned.
Yeah.
Which is where they're then
driving them into the arms of any man who has the right words at the right time.
Right. Well, pay attention to them, which was, by the way, listen, I'm one of these frat guys. Okay. I'm not, or I was. I was one of these frat guys. I'm not, my hands are covered in blood in this regard. Okay. Mm-hmm. I specifically preyed on girls who didn't have anybody, like every other guy there, you know? And I even kind of specialized it because I would go after like hipster girls who were like straight up abusive fathers, broken homes, whatever, like, you know, like straight up unstable, crazy girls. And, the like this, I think this extends even further because I know a young woman who was out of college, living at her parents' house, no husband, living in her parents' house, and her parents got so concerned and worried about the fact that she didn't have her own home, and were like, you're not moving fast enough, like you need to progress in life, so we need to get you a house. And so they helped her buy her a house to move her out of their home so that she would be off on her own, working a job. Yeah. One of these, and it was a dead end, like big tech company email job, like fake, like adult babysitting job. That's what it was. And they're like, it's your career. And they moved her out into this house. Immediately, the week she moved out, she was raped.
Oh my goodness.
The first thing that happened, a wolf came in. And this wolf went to dinner with her and her parents and talked shit to her face the whole time in front of her parents, and they did nothing and said nothing. This is endemic to Western culture. This like abandoning women to be thrown into the meat grinder of life without any protection.
Because they've bought the feminist lie.
Yeah.
That women are equal in every way to men.
Yeah, and they can defend
that. They are essentially the same.
Yeah, and one of the things here that to defend my fraternity brothers here is you talk to a lot of them, and they don't think they're doing anything wrong because they think that these girls want to have sex just as much as they do.
Right.
They totally believe that. They think they're totally the same. And to give you guys kind of the flip side example here of young men sending young men to these places, this is not a good idea either. Their lives are going to be less destroyed by what's going on because men have, I don't know why, but it's just, I mean, whatever. We don't have time to dig into that, but I'll give you a couple examples. I have videos still on my phone that are funny videos, but it's funny because they're men, of like some of my pledge brothers being like unconscious drunk, not going to wake up drunk, like on a chair, and we're all filming him laughing, like, and somebody's like hard, like slapping him in the face, and we're all laughing, flicking him off, yo, like, and I have videos of like, I have a video of one of our pledges in hockey pads, like full hockey pads. He had to wear hockey pads during the parties. And so he's in full hockey pads, and somebody gave him like a cup of milk and Everclear and made him drink it. And, that was not my style. My style of hazing was not alcohol involved. It was making the kids eat onions and stuff, but, and like eating onions, drinking a gallon of milk, and then running until you throw up. But they gave this kid
much better.
I mean, it seems better.
It is funnier. The onions.
Yeah. He was hammered, and we were making sure he was okay. So we're like watching him and stuff, but he's still conscious and talking. But I have a video of me sitting next to him, asking him questions, and just like see him like asking him stuff. Yeah, just seeing what he'll say, and he's just like saying the N-word and like just like going crazy, and it's like, I think it's, for whatever reason, that seems lighter to people, because it's a man somehow. But that is just as having sex with someone is just as destructive.
Maybe that's just because men suffering together is camaraderie building.
Yeah.
This is maybe a deformed downstream version of it.
Yeah.
Where there's not war or there's not combat.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what I will say.
I don't know.
You walk out of that as a man, like so many of my pledge brothers, so many of my fraternity brothers, like we're going to go to an event today in Austin. A ton of my fraternity brothers are going to be there. Other guys that we have friends from college that were, in other frats or whatever, they'll be there. Many of them are unmarried. None of them have kids, all careerist. Like, and a lot of that is because these guys cannot love women anymore. They cannot love women anymore because they were involved in so much mutual abuse at the hands of girls while they were abusing these girls. They're just abusing each other. And so they barely even see each other as human anymore. Yeah. And the only thing they can think about, because they've committed so much of this like sexual sin, is what did you do in college? Like how depraved were you in college? How many guys did you perform oral sex on? How many sexual partners did you have in college? Because I had 24. So how many did you have? Mm-hmm. And so you can't like love someone if you're afraid of that amount of pain entering your life, because you're thinking of the person you love having sex with someone else, having that intimate moment with someone else.
Yeah. Well, also the damage to those young men will also be for their future wives.
Yes.
Because the future wife will have to deal with knowing all of that.
Yep.
And so it's damaging in a different way. It's you're sending your young men off to college as well without really, really properly preparing them for that.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're walking into a war zone, then if they succumb to that kind of behavior, that's going to pay out really bad dividends for a really long time.
Yeah.
In their marriage.
Yeah, it's gonna found their marriage basically on lies, because they're either gonna have to bottle that stuff up and hold it in their own hearts forever, which will make them resent their wife in some weird way, or they're gonna have to tell her, and they're gonna have to just sit there helplessly watching her
cry.
Yeah.
Weep.
Yeah. Yeah, like
over not being the only woman.
Bust blood vessels in her face. She's crying so hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And so just, and the isolation it builds in future families, where it's like the kids grow up and they know subconsciously mom and dad don't really love each other because they're so hurt.
A constant affection going on.
Yeah, and they're so hurt, They're just so hurt from their behavior earlier in life.
Yeah.
And it bleeds over into these, like, dude, every single guy I know that is not like in our friend group, that's not like in our church friend group, every single guy I know is struggling with some kind of light sexual addiction.
Yeah.
Whether it be with porn or, in the case of my boy that I was just out of town with, going to bars and making out with, not being able to stop himself from making out with other women, even though his wife is at home alone.
Yeah.
Like, every guy I know is dealing with some kind of light sexual addiction. And if you don't think that that's going to destroy your family and then ultimately destroy the culture you live in because there's no families left, then you're retarded. So, listen, this has been an hour. Basically me rambling.
No, it's been good. It's hopefully this is a wake-up call to any parents who have children in college or are thinking about sending them to college.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is a sobering wake-up call. And if it's not too late, please don't send your kids to public school. Because that just sets them up for all of this.
Yeah.
You are allowing them to have most of their education hours, most of their... they will spend more time being influenced by peers, which is a bad thing because the peers are, who knows what the peers are
Who
thinking.
knows who molested them? Who knows what's going,
right?
Like, what television shows they're watching?
If your kids grow up spending most of their time with kids their own age instead of older kids or responsible, good moral adults, and especially not you, then you're setting them up for this.
Yeah. And it's never too late. If your kid is in public school right now, please take them out.
Pull them. Yeah.
Pull them out of public school. If they're in college right now.
Change your life. One of you, wife, stop working, homeschool your kids, downsize your home, do anything.
Anything.
It's Protocol Z.
Protocols, that's true, dude. Dude, if your kids are in public school
and you're
you
both
are
working
in
full-time
Z.
jobs, you don't need both the full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Humble yourself, buy a house half the size, and stop the car payments, slice your budget in half.
Yeah.
And go back to a more foundational nuclear family, something strong. Do something every weekend with your family. Build community. So it comes back to the core of what we're about here at Work Hard, which is building Christian community. And that starts with the nuclear family.
Yeah, the nuclear family.
Yeah.
Nuclear power, baby.
We'll sign off here. Yeah, support nuclear power.
Yeah.
Get married, have babies, raise them with intent, and build communities.
Yeah, please don't send them to public school or college. I do want to say one thing. We do have friends that went to whose parents did it right, who sent their kids to college locally.
Yes,
Which you
did talk.
I touched on that, but I really want to hammer that home. Locally that's the key here. All right,
locally, coming home every night.
Coming home every night. They live with you. Okay, it's so different. It's so different than sending them off.
It's night and day.
Yeah, night and day. So please, just if your kid has to go to college, if he's got to go, which is fine, please just keep it local.
Keep it local.
All right, guys.
Well,
love you.
Yeah. If you have not subscribed yet, we ask you please sign up on the Substack homepage of Hyper Premium. Put your email in there so you can get the email notifications whenever a new episode drops. If this has been valuable to you, please share it with someone else. Help the podcast spread. And please go to church, find a girl, marry her, have some babies.
Yeah. Guys, we're out. See you next week.